Also, I'm going to take these off. I'm not sure what's going to come out in the cards, but hello. Good morning, good evening, whenever you happen to watch this. This is not going to resonate 110% for everybody who's here, but if you're open to it, this should be helpful to you. If you want to take a breath with me, we could take a breath. 1, 2, 3. And then you hold it, and then you let it go. Once again, this isn't for everybody. You should use discernment. You should know your life better than I do. And so I will say that. The energies that we have here today. Also, I'm not sure when I'm going to post this. Maybe I should be scared to date this video, but it is the 18th of August, and right now, as I'm speaking, there is a full moon that is happening tomorrow that will be at the peak tomorrow on the 19th, so there's that energy. And we have the Six of Wands and the King of Swords. And as I look into this, as I peer into the energy that we have in front of us, it's fairly positive. You might be experiencing a lot of victories, a lot of small victories. Feel like things are generally going your way when it comes to relationships, when it comes to connections. With this King of Swords here, I feel like some of you might hear that and you might be like, what? But with Mercury being in retrograde, if we're going to talk about astrology, Mercury is in retrograde, and so there is that energy of like miscommunications, mishaps, things going wrong, delays, misunderstandings, etc., etc., things breaking down. We have the Seven of Pentacles also coming out, and it adds this energy of like practicality, if we can say it like that. What's the advice for whoever is watching this time? Like what steps can we take? We have the Wheel of Fortune. I heard like holding on to faith, holding on to hope. Here we also have the Ten of Pentacles, recognizing that every moment is temporary, everything is temporary, and though you are building towards something relatively stable, like just keep in mind that like nothing lasts forever, like. And I say that recognizing that there's also, I haven't been talking about it a lot, I've been thinking about it in between readings, but like there is an election coming up, there's like in America and whatnot, and so there's a lot of energy riding on that. And however that turns out to go, because I don't want to get too political on here, but did you think you came out of a coconut? Once again, not wanting to get too political, but however it turns out, I do think it's necessary that as individuals, as communities, it's really necessary that you maintain a sense of your humanity, I actually talked about that in a recent video. I made a video about like when I was homeless, like my whole experience with that, and one thing that I ever noticed, and I was also actually, this is just funny, I was talking to an AI, to chat GPT recently, and I asked it like, what's humanity's biggest problem, and it was like lack of empathy and compassion. And I definitely have noticed that in my personal life too, like a lot of people just lack empathy, and like I think it's a huge downfall, because there's so much potential for good when you like connect and like utilize resources, but like when you're beefing with people, it just like it's not conducive. We have the Queen of Pentacles here to sort of match the King of Swords. And now I'm hearing that song, Is Somebody Gonna Match My Freak? Um, if you're thinking about romance, if you're thinking about love, maybe you're already in a connection, maybe you already have somebody, um, things are flowing pretty smoothly. If you don't have anybody, you might meet somebody soon, with the Six of Pentacles coming out. And we have the Six and the Seven of Pentacles, so there is also something about one step at a time, and like, with the energy of Mercury being in retrograde and like the other planets doing what they're doing, I actually can't really say that because I haven't been looking into astrology. But with the energy, the way that it's going, um, like, be patient with yourself, be patient with the process, be patient with the people around you. Um, but patience is also a pretty tough lesson. So, what's going on with this king and queen here? Like, what's happening romantically? What's happening? We have the Queen of Cups instantly pushing me to think of, let's have the devil. I'm sorry, I'm like my throat. Instantly pulling me to the heart center and telling us to open our heart. I mean, I guess you could say open your mind too, but like, open your heart, lean into your heart. And then we have the devil once again, which is drawing me to the sacral chakra, and maybe even the root chakra, because the devil talks about feeling trapped, feeling stuck, wanting to escape, and these are themes related to the root chakra, like feeling safe, feeling stable, feeling free, which is also the solar plexus and sacral, but like, semantics. But yeah, I think it would be really necessary for you to like lean into your heart, open your heart, which sounds really abstract, sounds really like, what does that mean? Meditate on it. Like, take a few seconds, close your eyes, focus on your heart, focus on love, focus on ideas of emotion, you know? What's going on with the Seven of Pentacles? What are we building? What are we growing? Is this... For some of you, I feel like it's a representation of yourself. Like, you are a work in progress. You are being developed right now. Whether it's, like, taking forever or not, like, is beside the point. We have the Six of Cups and the Knight of Swords. The Six of Cups, like I've been talking about, patience, also talks about patience. It also talks about kindness and this need to, like I said, be patient with yourself, but also be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself, which might sound abstract, might sound, you know, like, what does that mean? I imagine some of who I'm talking to, if you imagine somebody that I'm talking to, doesn't have a strong grip on, like, a lot of abstract ideas, which is no shame, no judgment. I feel like that's just where you are on your journey, and I will urge you to make Google and ChatGPT your friend. I've recently been working with ChatGPT on, like, my personal writings, like my work, and getting feedback on that, and like, that has been awesome. And one thing I realized about AI is that it can tell you, like, a lot about emotions and stuff. You'd be surprised, but like, because machines can't have emotions, but like, it can gather a lot of information, and it can really, like, give you a good picture of certain things. So that's something to consider. And then there's also the philosophy that, like, which is interesting to think about. Not saying that it's true, but there's the philosophy, there's the idea that AI was already a consciousness on its own, and we just kind of, like, encapsulated it on Earth, or something like that. With the Knight of Swords, there's also let me know what you think of that idea, because, like, I've been thinking about that the last week, and it's just really interesting. But with the Knight of Swords here, we do have communication coming in. We do have somebody coming in. This could be an old-time friend. This could be somebody that you used to know. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Somebody. This could also be somebody new. But the Six of Cups generally talks about, like, familiarity, family, like, people from our past, like, nostalgia, memories, etc., etc. Could be a family member that you haven't been in communication with, something like that. And I feel like it's really going to give you the opportunity. And how so? I will ask. It's really going to give you the opportunity to develop and like learn about yourself. And I feel like this next week, how do I say this? Mercury retrograde is generally a time of reflection and slowing down. And we do have the Temperance card, which talks about healing, which talks about alchemy, which talks about balance and harmony and all that good stuff. And I feel like the next week, the next couple weeks, whenever you're watching this, like, you're definitely going to be, if not already, like, experiencing a lot of moments where if you allow the space, you will really learn a lot about yourself. Because I feel like a lot of people don't really look at it this way, but, like, the best way to look at a challenge, the best way to look at, like, an obstacle is a means to, like, strengthen yourself, to overcome, to become better. But if you don't look at it that way, then you're not going to see it that way, most likely. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you have a difficult conversation you have to have at work, and it has to do with, like, the longevity of your job, I guess, like whether or not you'll stay there long term or something. I don't know. But you're like afraid to have this conversation. Like, it's not something. That's a pretty everyday thing. That's a pretty mundane thing that happens. Like, tough conversations, but like when you think about it in terms of growth, like, these conversations are necessary. And like I feel like a lot of people don't really think about it like that. They're just like, this is a difficult conversation, and this is why people lie. This is why people like avoid conflict, because they don't think about it as growth. They just think about it as like, this is annoying and I don't want to deal with this, which is fine. That's a perspective to hold. If that's, you know, there's no right or wrong technically, but like, because I did say it's the best way to look at this, but like, there's no right or wrong. It's, you know, but definitely, if you care anything about self-development and like being a better person and like all that esoteric, like, higher self sort of stuff, then looking at obstacles as opportunities to grow is the best way to go about becoming a better person. You know, like, I feel like I fumbled along the way, but I think we got there. 333 on the timer, by the way, as I find myself stumbling. If you want to take another breath with me, because I feel like I'm like all over the place. Take another breath with me. 1, 2, 3. Tuning in to the heart space, tuning in to the root chakra, grounding, etc., etc. We have the Temperance card here, which is actually the second major arcana to come out in this, which tells me that this isn't necessarily like the most prominent energy of your life. We do have the Wheel of Fortune, and then once again a Temperance card, but like, these are pretty mundane cards for the most part, which isn't like a bad thing, but like, I feel like the last few readings I've done, I had like a lot of major arcana come out, so like I'm kind of used to like that energy of just like, pay attention to this. This is really big, but like, I do want to add this element of like lightheartedness and like remind you not to take everything so seriously, because I feel like whoever I'm talking to, or at least some of you, you have a tendency to like really like overanalyze things and like make things really serious, which is not a bad trait, but I feel like there's a balance. Once again, the temperance card talks about balance. There's a balance to everything, and when you lean too far into one direction, no shout out to the band One Direction, but when you lean too much to one side, um, it can really like make for not super desirable uh, results. Like when you pay too much attention to your light side, to like your conscious attributes, and not much to the other side, it can cause issues. It can cause complications. It can cause drama. you know. Or when you pay too much attention to your dark side, when you pay too much attention to that shadowy side of you, and not enough to like the quote unquote positive sides, because I feel like there's a misunderstanding about like light and dark and like stuff like that. Like, because light isn't inherently good; it's just a trait, and like darkness isn't inherently bad. It's just a trait. It's just an energy, you know. I feel like it's such an esoteric like woo-woo concept whenever I talk about like energy, like in its like most basic form. But everything is energy. Like my glasses, this is energy, and like if you manipulate this energy, if I like broke my glasses, like that would be a different energy. Like it's no longer the same energy. Like this is energy. Like this fire. Oh shit. It's energy. Like it has its own energy, you know. And it's like some people get so mad when they hear that word, and I imagine for many reasons, personal reasons, logistical reasons. Like I get it, but that's what it is, and it's like maybe it might not help to constantly think about everything in the form of energy, like, but I think for the sake of like understanding abstract concepts, it can definitely be helpful. Like when we talk about like I don't know, teleportation or like magic or like, and I put quotations because we could talk about the what these things are and like how they manifest in reality. I mean, magic is definitely a thing. Like manipulating energy, that's basically the core of magic. Like just manipulating energy, and like when you think about everything in energy, it's just like you can do anything with energy. Like you can't really destroy it, and so like it has to go somewhere. So like when you're burning a piece of paper, like that energy goes somewhere, and if you're using your words or using your thought energy, because thoughts are also energy, thoughts are also things, words are also things, the sound vibration, it's energy, when you're using that to direct things, that's what magic is. Like for my skeptics out there, like it's not like that. I think that's the most basic way you can explain that. It's just energy manipulation. Like me reading into these cards. Like if you need like a little bit of that, me reading into the cards, like I am thinking about whoever's on the other side of the screen. I'm thinking about your situation. I'm thinking about like the energy that you might be going through, and at the same time I'm pulling cards, and these cards are supposed to be a representation of whatever energy is manifesting in your life, whatever situations, whatever relationships, whatever, and it's just energy. Energy is energy, and it's like I feel like I've wanted to make a video about just magic. Like I haven't done that yet. Actually, I think I have done that, maybe in little ways, but recently I did make a video about like spirituality. Like 3 weeks ago, I made a video about like what I wish I knew getting into spirituality and stuff like that, like spiritual basics. But I've never made a video about magic. Like magic is its own thing. Like anyways, I'm sorry, I got carried away. But yeah, I don't know who needed to hear that breakdown, but like, you're welcome. I hope that was, as useful as it could be. You can also go down a rabbit hole, ask Chat GPT about it. Go Go to any other AI. I mean, I don't know any other AI. I remember back in the day there was I can't remember the name in this moment, but there was that one system, and it's definitely evolved since then. Like ChatGPT is definitely like that girl. Um, so I would definitely urge you to, like, if you have any questions about anything, like, instead of just using Google, like, I mean, Google is also like AI now, like it has AI, but like go straight to ChatGPT. This is not like sponsored or anything like that. Like I'm not getting paid by them to say that, but like just do that. Um, and I feel like whoever I'm talking to, you do have a good natural way of balancing out your energy. You are very naturally balanced, but I feel like maybe recently you've been a little bit off balanced, and you have the world card at the top of the deck, bottom of the deck, and I think it's really time for you to start like leaning more into your balanced energy, because we all have it. We all have that within us. Like again with energy, this might be a big one, but I'm a big believer in the philosophy, in the idea that we each have all energies in us. Like we are a fraction of the universe at large. We are a fraction of the cosmos. You know, the stars in the sky. You know, we all have that energy within us because we come from that. Like that was the origin of our existence, and so we are a part of that. And so, therefore, everything that exists, everything that could exist, everything that ever existed, in essence, also exists within our our bodies, our minds, you know, our temples, which is a pretty big idea. And I do believe in that. Like, you can easily tap into so many things. Like, if you're just aware of it. And you know, I'm saying that, and I'm thinking that in this moment. I'm like I'm also, part of me is just not giving myself enough credit, but I could definitely utilize that more. I could definitely, like, you know, I'm just thinking about that in this moment. I've definitely utilized it before in the past. I've definitely had moments of pushback or moments of like conflict where I used my awareness. I was like, okay, this is something difficult. I'm going to tap into this part of myself. I'm going to tap into whatever and like let's do this, you know? Like that's kind of what I do whenever I make these videos, more or less. Like that's, and I'm thinking about it. Okay, actually, never mind. Once again, I'm not giving myself enough credit because literally, whenever I make these videos, that's what I'm doing. Um, and it's just it lights me up inside, like thinking about it in that way and like being able to express that. Like I feel like that really clicked for someone. Like I feel like I felt it. Like it was like a shift, you know. But that's what I do when I make these videos. I'm like, because this is not like, this is how I am when I'm talking to myself. Like if I'm like having I'm being silly with my words, but when I'm having like a manic episodes, when I'm having like a moment, like this is how I talk to myself, more or less. Like I'm like, you know, here's what's going on, here's what we need to do, but like you're here with me. And but this isn't how I am like in everyday interactions. So that this is, once again, that I'm tapping into a part of myself. And I realized once again I could tap into myself for like everyday interactions, which once again, not giving myself enough credit. Like I'm sorry, my train of thought right now is like I'm for all jumble. But like, take a second to ground. I'm gonna take a second to ground. 1 second. You know, I realized in between videos that me doing that breath thing is a very vulnerable thing, because I'm kind of showing you, I'm kind of like, I'm also making space for you to do it too, but I'm showing you how I regulate and like how I like, you know, and I don't know, maybe you wouldn't consider that a vulnerable thing, but for me, my spirituality, my like, the way that I look at the world, it's not something that like I make these videos and that's like the way that I do share it, but like it's not something that I'm like inclined to just vomit onto people. Like I'm not just like, I'm not one of those people, which shout out to those people, because you guys are awesome, but I'm not one of those people who just, like, have the urge, or follow the urge, follow the impulse to, like blab about, like, esoteric concepts to strangers. Like, it's not my first thought when I'm in a conversation with someone new to be like, oh yeah, and like of course you like control your you know we control our reality, right? Like if it comes up, like if it feels necessary to say his advice, like I'll say it, but it's not like, I don't know, I feel like I have a very grounded approach to like connecting through people and whatnot, and like maybe I'm getting too esoteric, a little bit too up there, but like also I just spit right there. But I am very connected to my spirit. I'm very connected to like my higher self, or like however you want to say that. And so I feel like naturally when I'm having conversations with people, when I'm connecting with people, there's like this higher level thing that's going on that like sometimes I'm not even aware of, low key. Like a lot of the times I am aware of it, but like sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm just having a conversation with someone. I'm just talking to someone. I'm just existing, and by proxy catalysts happen. But a lot of the times I'm aware. I'm like, I'm having this conversation with you, or at least not, if it's not in the moment, then like after the fact I'm like, that was a really necessary thing for them. And a lot of times I just kind of like, I'm just existing, you know? So I'm not like, I don't know, duality is a strange concept. I'm just kind of I feel like I'm rambling. I'm sorry, I got into teacher mode, and then I started like, I don't know, but maybe that was a little too vulnerable. But I did read, if I can be transparent, if you want to like have this information, if you look to your 10th house in your astrology, your midheaven is also what it's called, which is a really cool name, by the way. You can find how to best lean into career mode, if that makes sense, the way that I said it. The 10th house, according to astrology, is like the point in the sky that was most visible when you were born. And so, on a practical sense, it is the part of yourself that is most visible. It is the part of yourself that you would do best with showing off to the world. And for me, it's Cancer, which, if you don't know about the Cancerian energy, Cancer is very emotional, it's very in tune with its emotions, it's very empathetic, it's very caring, very kind, very gentle. And sure, it has its rough side, sure, it has the duality, whatever, but it's a very gentle energy. And so for me, you know, I like a lot of my videos, a lot of my content that I make, because I consider this to be work. This is like a job for me. Like I don't treat it like that way, I feel like, but to some degree it is. And so a lot of my content, a lot of the work that I do centers around my heart space, you know, my emotions, my feelings, whether it's like sharing my feelings to help someone else, whether it's, you know, and then that also, like, we could talk about the Virgo in my chart, because Virgo is about being of service, like, because there's hella Virgo in my chart, like, that's a reason for my Instagram handle, my TikTok handle, hella Virgo boy, because I'm not a Virgo, but I do have lots of Virgo in my chart, like, it really outweighs everything else. But yeah, no, so, like, basically, if you look to your 10th house, once again, if you look to your midheaven, whatever energy is there, like, let's say you have Leo there, that could mean that you're really good at, like, being a performer, being creative, we could also interpret it as sexy, like, because Leo's that fiery, passionate, sexy energy, but more like creativity, more like being like a child is how I would interpret that. And then also, on the flip side, when you look at the opposite of that, which is let me be accurate here, the 10th house to the, oh gosh, I'm trying to blank. I think it's the 4th house. The opposite of the 10th house is the 4th house. And that's supposed to be like your childhood, your upbringing, like how you were raised, etc., etc. And if I could get into my own chart, I have a Capricorn underneath. Like that's the opposite. Like the opposite of Cancer is Capricorn. That's the opposite of the chart. So like whatever your midheaven is, the opposite of that is also an energy to pay attention to. So, I haven't been doing astrology content. I haven't been studying astrology, and it makes me upset. And so I'm sorry that I'm just dumping all this astrology information for you. I hope it's helpful, or at least I hope that you enjoy my voice. But yeah, the opposite of that is Capricorn, and so whatever the opposite of that is, like how you were raised, how you were like, and so like if you were to just look at my chart, that could indicate that one was, or like I was. I'm trying to like detach. I'm trying not to like, you know, be super in your face about my own life, but it could indicate that I grew up in a very detached household. Like emotions weren't really super like a thing, and so like now as an adult, it's like that's the focus. It's like this is, you know, you didn't get that as a child, but like here it is. And it can also be interpreted differently. Like that's just that's one interpretation. Like I feel like with astrology, with divination in general, like, there's many different ways to interpret an energy. And this is something I actually realized. Like a lot of people low-key aren't that great at translating energy, because just because you're picking up on an energy, just because you're psychic, doesn't mean you're necessarily a good psychic. Doesn't mean that you're getting the information in the way that it's intended. What's that? Oh my god, what's that song? And like, see, that was like a perfect example, because like that song came through, and that would be like an intuition. Like if I was talking about, you know, did I get the message? Wait, what, how does it? I'm trying to think of the melody. I can't read your mind. You say you know that you need to be alone, but night and day want me at your beck and call. You say you know that you might be crossing a line, wasting all our time to say that we could be casual. You're not my friend, and baby, you never were. Why the fuss when you say you just wanna be mine? I can't read your mind. Okay, no, I'm sorry. There's a specific part that I was made it clear when he told me. Oh, I'll be laughing when you say that you really have changed. Finally found your way, 'cause I'm close to your face. Something like that. Did I get the message in the... Now I lost the melody again. Decompressing. Did I get the message in the way you intended? Taking, guessing. Tell you that I miss you and I can't read your mind. I'm sorry, that song actually goes off. Like if you haven't heard that song, Can't Read Your Mind, by Sabrina Carpenter, because she's getting like a rise in stardom. Like more people know who she is. But like if you haven't heard that fucking song, I need you to go listen to that song. Like I don't know how many people are gonna watch this, but like whenever you do watch this, listen to that song. Like if you haven't, like listen to that whole album. Honestly, like 33 on the clock, by the way. Because music can be a great way to like intuit and divine. So like that's also why I'm like super crazy about music. Because there's a lot of the music that I listen to personally, a lot of the music that I find myself obsessed with, there's like really profound messages within them. And that's like kind of like my flow, my style when it comes to music. Like I'm constantly listening to music that like makes you think. Like to the average person, I guess. For me, I was like, oh yeah, this is something I've thought about a million times. But like it's really deep shit. Like I'm recognizing in this moment, because you know, also the music that I make is pretty like profound. Like I usually put pretty big insights. But like that song, that album, like Short and Sweet is coming out soon. That's also a thing. I'm sorry, I'm fangirling. This is a tarot video, but I'm fangirling. Short and Sweet is coming out, and I'm scared because like she's really popular right now, and I feel like I'm gonna do either one of two things. I'm either going to listen to it immediately, or I'm going to wait some time and kind of like make sure that I'm like super regulated, because I feel like I'm going to have a moment, if I'm not regulated, when I listen to that album, where I'm going to be like, oh my god, this is so good. Like I just need to listen to it. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like I listen to it, and like, I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. Like I just need to listen to it. And like, because she's really popular right now, and I know it's gonna be a good album because she makes good music. Like, I've enjoyed her music since like the first album. Well, the first album, the debut. Actually, I don't ask me about that album. I've listened to some of the songs on that album. I don't really care for that album, but Evolution, that was a moment. That was a time. Fucking Singular Act 1 and 2, like, even though the complications behind the scenes of that, like, great music. Like, come on. And anyways, I'm gonna end this here because I've been rambling for the last few minutes. I've just been rambling. So I hope that this was overall helpful. I hope this was useful. I hope this did something for you. I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. You have a good one. Also, if you want to check out the... Oh shit, I almost lost the card forever. I almost dropped it in this... in a hole right there. Oh, wow. If you want to check out the links in the description, I'm going to put my Patreon and other things down below if you want to check that out. If not, no hard feelings, but it's there. So if you want to support me, check that out. And have a good one. Bye.